Now in this slide we are going to see our policy response. The response to climate change can be broadly classified into three categories, mainly adaptation, mitigation and geoengineering. Adaptation means responding to the negative impacts of climate change. So if climate change causes sea level to rise, then an adaptive response would be to build sea walls or relocate communities away from the encroaching sea. In the subsequent slides, we will be seeing mitigation also. Mitigation refers to the policies that leads to avoidance or minimization of climate change in the first place. So it prevents effects such as sea level rise. This can be achieved by reducing emission of greenhouse gases primarily through different policies which encourages transition from a fossil fuel based economy to more renewable use of more renewable energy and an economy where greenhouse gas emission reduces. Then the third response can be geoengineering. In geoengineering, in the subsequent slides, we will be seeing it refers to active manipulation of the climate system. In this approach, the gases which are added to the atmosphere are changed using some technology to cancel the warming effects of greenhouse gases. So this leads to a decrease in the amount of solar energy absorbed by the earth, and it stabilizes the climate despite continuing emission of greenhouse gases. Now coming to the slide on adaptation. So basically this refers to any climate change which is not avoided, must be adapted to. As we know that climate is presently changing, and the most optimistic scenario will continue. In the most optimistic scenario also it will continue to change for decades. So adaptation should be a part of our policy response. Adaptation, when it comes to adaptation, we should think about physical risk. Now adaptation starts from human built infrastructure or enhancement of ecosystem services and functions. For example, for protecting mangroves or building storm surges by increasing forested areas, also improving water quality. So beyond physical enhancements and human communication processes, regulations can also be used for adaptation. Now if individuals also many times respond to adaptation. For example, farmers respond to adaptation by uh, adopting crops which are more climate resistant. But adaptation cannot be left to individual. Ideally, this is the government's work for adaptation, and government has to coordinate all the effort towards adaptation. As the cost for adaptation is also high, and there are a lot of complexities involved in adaptation. So entire community and different stakeholders uh, need to be onboarded for adaptation. There can be many possible adaptation responses, like building large scale infrastructure or providing resources, then also providing policy response. So for example, incentivizing people to use flood insurance. So ability of and also ability of society to adapt to the climate changes varies from place to place. So in the developed economies it is very high, and in the developing economies this adaptation is slowly catching up because of the lack of resources. Then maladaptation is a very important point from the exam point of view. It leads to increase in vulnerability. So it needs to be avoided at any cost.